Joakim, nice to talk to you. And besides the mistakes, you have a new album. The Great War is coming out in July, I think.
Yes.
mid-July, around about
19th,
that.
yeah.
And I just listened to it, couple of versions actually. There was a history version of the album with narrative and stuff like that, and then there was the more regular one. So besides the mistakes, what do you think the new album, if you compare it to the last one? In my opinion, it was a bit more, it wasn't as straightforward, it was more diverse and more there was more depth.
It's
than
deeper,
the last one, I think.
more atmospheric, a bit darker as well. And it's it's a dark subject, so it makes sense, you know. But I think it also helped a lot because it's a very focused album. I mean, obviously it's a huge conflict, but compared to The Last Stand, where we are in the Battle of Thermopylae thousands of years ago, we were in Africa, we were in Japan in 1877, we were in the 80s in the Soviet-Afghan War. How do you project that into one unit of music? That's going to be a collection of stories that are pretty shooting with a shotgun, you know. Here it's still a collection of stories, but it's more of a sniper rifle thing going on, you know.
Yeah.
More precise.
Yeah. How about the musical aspect of it compared to the last one? What do you think is the main difference, or where has the band progressed since the last one?
Well, I would say it's as you said, a bit more diverse. It's a bit of a more of a roller coaster. A few more. I mean, it's still obviously a Sabaton album, but there's quite a few more surprises, I'd say, musically. And also, I think you can really hear that the theme, the topic, has influenced the songwriting in a darker way. Of course, there are still some happy, go, power, you know, sing along parts, but even in some of those, there's a sinister atmosphere in it, you know. And I'd say those are the main differences, actually. Different production can be heard, of course, with Jonas Kjellgren now instead of Peter, but it's not huge. I mean, I think it worked out really good with Jonas. It was the first time we used him for a whole album.
Okay.
We used him before for separate songs, like Bismarck was him, and we did live albums and such with Jonas before.
Yeah.
And Peter was pretty busy, and he's like, yeah, but I can squeeze you in there and there, and we're like, scheduling annoying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, speaking of Bismarck, you did a great video of it for the game, associated with the game, I think, but that's not on the album actually.
No.
So what was the story behind that? Because that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there was basically an idea was doing something fun for our 20th anniversary, and some people suggested a box set, which didn't feel right for us because of two reasons. One, looking backwards instead of forwards, and two, making people pay for music that they already own. And you know, if you're gonna do something like that, you better make sure it's a nice collection, that it's something you get your money's worth for, even for those who already have the old stuff. So for us, it's like, yeah, maybe there will be a box set someday, but we didn't want to do it in half-ass it. Now, in that case, it should be something that's planned, that has a lot of extra material and, you know, demos from those times and stuff like that. So it's a project to put together. So we figured, let's do a thank you to our fans for 20 years of service, you know, and we thought, what would we like from our favorite bands? And that would be music. So very basic idea. And we chose Bismarck because it's the most requested topic by our fans over the years. And then, as a thank you, we thought we'd give it away instead of, you know, selling it. And of course, having Wargaming and worked with them before to help with the video part helps a lot.
Yeah, and the video was great too. So it was a big production, obviously, and all that.
So it's having them help us with the computer graphics was gonna. We couldn't fix those ourselves, if you know what I mean. It's a whole different level. No, but then the whole idea was something. Thank you for 20 years of service. Here's a song we did. This is the most requested topic, you know. But it took 20 seconds. Then people were angry because they couldn't buy it. Which was, that's not the point!
Yeah, I read it too. Why is it not on the album? You know, where's the single? You know, but You can't win.
No, obviously not. It's fine. Normally, people hate us because there's too much they can buy. Now we did it the opposite, and now they're angry they can't buy it. So, yeah,
that's
sure.
You can't win. Anyway, the first real single which is on the album is "Fields of Verdun," which is actually, I think, the only album so far, only song that's on.
Yeah, on the album so far.
Right now. So, how difficult it is to choose a single from an album like this? That's really a full kind of concept thing, to pick something to show to the people.
It was very difficult, but having Bismarck made it easier.
Okay.
Because Bismarck, in a way, already had that big, slower epicness to it, which made us focus then on, well, we want something more straightforward and focused and faster, which actually helped. And also sending the message, I mean, if we should send something, it is gonna be the longest battle of the First World War. And also something that's stereotyping might be the wrong word here, but you know, the whole image of the Western Front, trench warfare, stalemates, all of that, it's all in, we're done.
Yeah. And there was also a cover by the Finnish band Apocalyptica, which was actually released before your own version. So that was another interesting thing that, you know, people, okay, what?
Yeah, actually two things there. It's one, we thought we'd try some cool bit of cross promotion because we really like Apocalyptica. I mean, they were coming to our festival, nice guys, so we thought, you know, never ask why not, you know. And then also for us, it will be really interesting to hear. We meet fans who really like Sabaton, and no matter if they heard Apocalyptica or not, asking them, okay, when you heard the Apocalyptica version, how did you imagine the Sabaton song sound?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then, you know, then when you heard the Sabaton song, was it at all as you imagined, you know? Was it faster than you expected, or was it totally different, or was it pretty much what you expected? It would be fun.
The melody was recognizable, you could imagine it, but other than that, really.
Yeah, is it a ballad? Is it, you know, double kick drum?
You couldn't tell from the Apocalyptica version, which was good, I think, because, you know, then it made the expectations a bigger.
Yeah, but that's a perfect band to do it with as well, because if we would have done it with many other bands based on vocals and rock, the regular rock setup, it might have been too close, you know. The two versions.
Okay, so the actual album, it's been 3 years since the last dance. So how long did it take to, you know, really build the concept and the lyrics and the story?
I guess
all of it.
We'd had the plans going into songwriting mode, which was around May last year. We had, of course, we did a few festivals and stuff like that, and but from, let's say, late August, September, we didn't do many shows. We went to Japan for a short tour, did some shows. We had the Sabaton cruise and Wargaming Fest in Russia, I think. So it was very slow there, but that didn't mean we weren't busy, if you know what I mean. I think we started out, I mean, we never stopped really writing music or reading history, but this one, late May, we decided to lock in on the Great War. We had a few ideas on music that were kind of going in a dark direction as well. So pretty much festival summer, then of course bouncing ideas while writing music, looking at our private library. You know, whenever somebody sends us an email, we save everything of interest, you know. So looking at that, looking at our own notes that we have, because we've come across obviously stories from the Great War before. It's not like we had to look in the history books to find the Red Baron. So,
True.
So I guess then it's a bit shooting everywhere, but the total focus when it's been, you know, nothing else is probably from August, September sometime.
Okay, so it wasn't that long actually.
No, I mean, most of the time, since it's 3 years now, what people might forget sometimes is that Heroes was released early 14, Last Stand late 2016, so it was a 2.5 year circle. This is another pretty much 2.5 year circle for us, because it's been extended because we're touring territories we're not touring anymore, didn't tour before, sorry. And then now on this one, Nuclear Blast wanted a longer lead. Normally they have a minimum of 3 months from they have the master to release, which is what we always wanted. They've tried for ages to get us to prolong that, but they wanted to do more press. Of course, we had to prepare for the videos and stuff that we didn't do on the Last Stand at all, actually. Yeah. So a lot of that takes a bit of time. And then we had the Sabaton History channel that was going on as well. So
established. Yeah.
So it wasn't less to do. It was actually busier than ever.
Yeah, and nowadays 2.5 years is actually quite short time between albums, because it's
to
change.
Rammstein took
10 years. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but I think it's fun. It keeps us on our toe, because I always notice when we're writing music that if I haven't been writing music in a while, it takes a while to get started. And taking too long is not a good thing. I think, because look at when people talk about music for a reason, they think you should do it as little as possible so it becomes good. But it's like, do you want a brain surgeon with little experience? No. Exactly. You want somebody who does that on a fucking daily basis. And look at some of, I'm not judging other bands here, saying anything bad about it. Every band has their different process, but I think it says something. Look at, well, at least my favorite bands. At what point in their career did they do good albums? In many cases, when they were very productive.
Yeah, every year.
Yeah, and stuff they. What we noticed though is, with the whole concept thing that we're doing and the historical research, that easily doubles the time that we have to spend with rewrites, discarding ideas, writing new stuff, or changing things around. If we didn't have a clear story or a concept, we could probably do it a bit faster. But on the other hand, it wouldn't be as much fun. So.
Yeah. So about the lyrics again, what is your frame of working when you do you like lock yourself away in a room, or do you work in the studio along with the music, or what is the process of your working out these stories?
With the stories, it's me and Per mostly. Sometimes Per only, sometimes me only, depending on who feels the song. I really love that one. I got some cool ideas, and then sure, take it. Then Per will do that one. In most cases, we are sitting down with how do you say? We found out that doing too much research in advance is not good. Because I did this is ages ago, but I learned with Stalingrad. I read for 6 months, on that, because I was thinking this is going to be the most epic thing I've ever researched. And every book I read finished off with Anthony Beevor's 600-page book about the Battle of Stalingrad. On the 6th of May, the Third Army moved over the river, and I didn't even know where to start. There was so much, and I couldn't get anything out. I spent 2 days doing nothing. Well, trying, but getting nowhere. And I found a translation of a Russian soldier's diary. It was only between 2 and 4 pages, and I based the whole lyrics on his experiences, what he wrote.
Okay.
It made much more sense to me all of a sudden. So we notice now you're most passionate about a subject when you're discovering it and diving into it, and that's when we should write. So we of course have the outlines. I mean, it's not like we didn't know what happened in the Battle of Verdun. But we knew this song feels really like Verdun, but we're not writing that today, so let's not dive today. And then we have, I would say basic knowledge. And then maybe for that song, me and Per said, okay, we're gonna meet up in 5 days, and then we're gonna do the song, writing the lyrics. That means from that point you read books, but guerrilla style. You look around them, and if
you pick something.
If it's like shooting really wide first.
Yeah.
and you're looking in books, it's like, no, this one doesn't give me the vibe I'm looking for at all. Because if I have no emotional response, I'm not passionate about it. So how the fuck can we write passionate lyrics about it? So throw that away. On the net, you know, documentaries. Usually it's a mix of whatever we can find of between the three. So basically, we end up with a few links for and documentary or two, and you know, a book with some post-its in it. And then we sit down and talk about everything. Yeah. That one was tricky though, because it was so big.
Yeah.
Where do you start?
How much balance do you put on, you know, actually you mentioned that about describing what actually happened or was written, and how much do you put your own kind of spin into it?
That depends on the song and how much info there is. If it's a technical song, like The Future of Warfare in the beginning, that one is about the introduction of a new technology on the battlefield. It's more technical, mechanical, industrial. At that point, it's like I wanted to do like the two extremes. At one point, there are only facts, and there are only, well, comparing the battlefield with hell, you know. There's nothing in between to get the contrasts, you know. So it's different for every song. It does tend to get more emotional the more you zoom in on a personal level. That's when it can be, well, prouder or sadder or, you know, more depressing, stuff like that. So every song is treated a bit differently. It's all a matter of, we noticed we have to go with the gut feeling, because that's when it becomes good. And even though we thought, I mean, some of our favorite ideas weren't here because we couldn't make them happen. I mean, I really wanted to do Harlem Hellfighters. African American guys coming over, nobody wanted to fight side along them, but pretty soon they realized that nobody wanted to fight against them either, because they were pretty badass. And that was, you know, really cool underdog story, and I always like those. And then it's a free song title for a metal album, Harlem Hellfighters. That's fucking awesome.
Great.
Yeah,
sounds good already.
Yeah, so I thought, fuck yeah, let's do that. But no, couldn't make it happen. And the Brusilov Offensive. So it feels like for every topic we chose for this album, 10 were like, we couldn't do it. It didn't have the music. And yeah, since we did The Future of Warfare, which is about technology, in a way, we already there sort of excluded the introduction of submarines, because we can't do an album only about technology.
Yeah,
exactly. It would be boring.
Yeah. And speaking of the cover art, it's very impressive again. It has the familiar, it's a bit similar to The Last Stand, but again it's really striking and, you know, special. So how much work did it go into designing all of this?
Quite a lot. We started out with this man, that was the first one. He was on a battlefield, but not this battlefield in the beginning.
Okay.
I think it was just a temporary battlefield for the, he wanted to know, Peter Salai, who did it, he wanted to know if he was on the right track, you know what I mean? And my first initial reaction was actually, ooh, it was an uneasy feeling to that guy. And as you said, my first one, isn't the colors kind of similar to the colors used on The Last Stand? You know, this is a bit browner, I guess. So I did think that, well, it's not really, colors aren't that cool. That guy, he gives me a bad feeling though. And
it's more striking than the one on the Last Stand. I think it draws attention. Yeah.
So in the way, though, everybody had the same feeling in the band. Everybody's first reaction was, yeah, kind of cool, but and then we looked at it again, and so the first time was actually everybody's had an emotional response, but visually it wasn't appealing. And then we realized, fuck, nothing about combat is visually appealing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So how about we let this represent the music and the war, instead of trying to make a t-shirt that sells.
Yeah. Okay, so after the album's released and already in the summer you're touring festivals, you're going to go on the road and start the cycle again. So any special plans for tour other than promoting this new album?
Yeah, we've taken away everything we had actually. Basically, because we still have a tank, but it's been refitted. And Yeah, it was actually made here in Finland, the whole new stage set. So
Oh, really?
yeah, it seemed we did one show now in Pilsen in Czech Republic, and yeah, it seems like half the crew now is Finnish these days. It's like, what the fuck? Finnish people
Okay.
everywhere.
That's weird.
Yeah, no, I like
I
it though. There are, trust me, there are much worse people to have around than Finnish people.
Yeah, they have a good work moral.
Yes.
Good integrity and all that. Never late and
They can handle a party as well, which is good. Without becoming drama queens.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is always dangerous when you're dealing with the Swedish people.
Yeah.
But,
But you have a tank still, but something else.
yeah, it's been
That's
refitted. It's the same frame, but it's been refitted. It's more theatrical in a way. There's barbed wire, so it's more 3D as well. Almost a little bit. It sounds weird when I say it. Depends on where you're coming from, but it's more a theatrical production, as you could see in a, high-end theater thing going on. Of course, we've created a bit of the Great War feel. It's like a battlefield almost on the stage, with sandbags, trenches, and stuff like that happening. Totally new pyro programming, which is also made in Finland.
Okay.
We're becoming Finnish here. It's dangerous, but it's almost everything. I mean, there's new stage clothes as well for some people in the band. I'm still having my fake six-pack because it's a family pack these days,
Okay.
But now it's. I mean, if somebody wants to look, they can check out the show we did in Pilsen. There's a lot of pictures online. Both released through our, Facebook pages stuff and through other photographers, and it was pretty cool actually. I really liked it. It was a bit tricky for me to imagine everything from the sketches, but of course once I saw what they've done, the guys who built it, I was really impressed. And on the stage it looks fucking amazing if you ask me. But I mean,
Okay.
that's me saying it here.
And you're playing in Finland, I think, in Kuopio Rock at least. That's
Yes.
the one I remember.
It's over the
Do you
summer.
see yourself playing the whole album? Live
We'll
or-
see.
Yeah.
I would like to, but that is up to the fans, I guess.
Okay.
Obviously, we're not finished releasing or announcing all tours yet. There's going to be more of that coming, but I think it has to wait because, of course, people want to hear new music, but we don't know what new music they want to hear. That's the thing. So we're adding songs as they're released. Once the whole album is released, we're going to look at reactions, basically, which songs are popular. And if it's very focused, where people are mostly into a few songs, which I don't think they're going to be, it's probably going to be a pretty widespread on this one. Then, I don't know, but the set list, I guess, is going to be comprised for the tour then later of, I guess, initially about half of the album, something like that. We've had the rule that it's like 5 songs or approximately half of the album, so tours become different. We're also going to throw in some old fan favorites in the set. We already did that in the festival. It worked fantastic because we have a, First World War setting. So why don't we put songs that we haven't played in a while back into rotation, like The Price of a Mile, which is about the Great War.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it'll be a bit of a different show now, switching around the set list a bit, which is good.
Okay.
It's necessary. And however, if it becomes popular, but if I know our lovely fans right, they're gonna like the album, but not as much as or and of course some people think everything is shit since the first demo.
Yeah, that's the usual one that you hear all the time.
There's always those, but these things usually crystallize. It was the same thing when we released, for example, Carolus Rex. And when we did it, it's really good, but not as good as The Art of War, or whichever favorite anyone had. And then like a year or two later, or when actually maybe sometimes only 2 months, once you gotten used to the album and listened to it a bit, gotten to know it, that's when people started wanting, maybe you want to play the whole album. So I think this could be a case here as well. I'm hoping at least.
Yeah.
That on the first tour we do half of the album or something similar, and a mix of World War One songs and the greatest hits, I guess. And then hopefully it will be so popular that before we say goodbye to this one and start on the next album, we could go around and do a couple of shows where we do, you know, the Great War whole album. And get that in a string, and then after this one keep on going with more World War One tracks that we have, you know. So I mean, we could actually then, I guess, do about 1 hour of only World War One related songs with.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I mean, when we have the set, obviously we would start then with, I guess, this album, but after that one is done, you could keep on going with Angels Calling, Cliffs of Gallipoli, Price of a Mile, Lost Battalion, and Last Dying Breath from the last time.
That's already a couple of hours.
Yeah,
almost.
1 hour. And then we have 30 minutes for Prima Victoria, Ghost Division, and some other stuff.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's settle that.
Yeah. That would be nice,
Yeah. Okay, so you spoke about touring in places that you haven't been. So are there any places that you would like to go that Sabaton hasn't played yet?
Yeah, quite a lot actually.
Yeah.
Everywhere. We've never been to Africa at all. It would be fun to see someday and try. I mean, I saw a report from, was it German or British television, or I can't remember. I think it was aired in several countries, but it was originally from this Arte German-French channel about the heavy metal community in Botswana.
Botswana, okay.
And I had no fucking idea. But it was so cool to see these people are running around in, you know, leather pants, leather coats, cowboy hats. It's like, what the fuck happened here, you know? I mean, they barely have electricity, but they have all of that. They're putting on metal shows. So that would be awesome to do one day. We're in Asia as well. We're a little bit thin there. We haven't been to much of it at all, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, certain parts of Russia we're playing are absolutely Asia. I mean, the Russian tour starts in Vladivostok. No, it's from Vladivostok to St. Petersburg, basically.
Yeah.
So 18 shows all over Russia, but it's not really what people associate with Russia or Asia, really. So Japan we've done, of course, but it would be nice to do China, India, and places like that. Indonesia. One of our biggest fan clubs is in Indonesia. We had no idea.
Yeah.
Saw some video footage of the Indonesian SWAT team practicing clearing a bus in a terror situation, listening to Prima Victoria. It's like, what?
That's one weird thing.
Yeah.
Okay, now that you worked on the lyrics for the new album, do you have a favorite war hero or a person from the war, particularly, that appeals to you? Or before this album?
Well, the ultimate hero of them all, I guess, would be Witold Pilecki, that we sing about on Heroes in Inmate 4859.
Yeah.
I mean, going to Auschwitz on purpose to infiltrate it. It's hard to beat. And the whole life story, him going to the UK with that evidence, you know, they don't believe him. He goes back to fight in the Warsaw Uprising, and then the Soviet Union, of course, rolls in, and then they don't want strong people from the resistance alive, so they execute him for treason. I mean, that whole story, well, I made it very short now, but that's could be the script for a Hollywood movie that people would go, oh, that's too unrealistic, it wouldn't happen. But yes, it did happen, you know. On this album, though, I'm gonna go with T.E. Lawrence because of the legends around him.
Yeah.
From a global perspective, I guess if he was there or not, it wouldn't have changed the outcome of the war. So not hugely important, but it's that one or Francis Pegamogabo that we sing about in The Ghost in the Trenches. Also one of those, what the fuck, you know. And so many myths, and well, there are eyewitness testimonies, so I kind of believe it, but he would sneak into enemy trenches and steal stuff, you know, and sneak in the German trenches at night, steal stuff as trophies, and then bring back the rest of the guys.
Okay, so you spoke about the movies. Do you follow Band of Brothers or The Pacific? Which one is your favorite?
Oh,
you have to choose, or is there a third one that you like more than?
No, I think those two are probably the best marriage of action and reality ever did.
Yeah,
it's hard to beat. I gotta say though, the first time I watched the Pacific after Band of Brothers, I was a bit disappointed. But now, maybe on an emotional level, it's my favorite. But I would recommend anyone to start with Band of Brothers. And then when they go into Pacific, expect something different. Because that one is much darker, you know, dealing with everything from psychological effects and and also the troubles you're facing coming home, you know, which is not at all covered in Band of Brothers. It's more, but I love them both. I think they are great together. It's like 20 hours of best TV ever produced, if you ask me.
Yeah. And we spoke about the 20th anniversary of Sabaton, which was the Bismarck song, was one part of that. But do you have any other plans other than the one we just blocked, which is the Playing the Great War album?
I mean, there's going to be a bunch of shows during this summer, which are more of a 20th anniversary shows.
Okay.
A bit longer. We did one, for example, and there will be more. I don't remember exactly which, but the choir, 20-piece choir we had in Czech Republic, which was really good. Even at soundcheck, I stopped singing and I just walked into the crowd. And,
I watched your
I watched them play and sing. It's like fuck. I mean, it makes so much sense. I've been hammering that to promoters and to Per and the boys all along. We did 2 shows with Symphony Orchestra, which is nice, but it's like, you throw, if we're gonna do it with a symphony orchestra, let's write an album so it's intended with a symphony orchestra in it. Then you can do it, not just slap metal and or symphony together. Because that's a hit and miss, 50-50. It's gonna work on some songs, other songs are like, why?
And everyone does it.
Yeah, exactly.
Same.
And I've been telling these guys for years, ever since we did the first in 14 or 15 with an orchestra in Vienna. It's like, don't get a choir. Nobody's asking for a choir. Yeah, because they don't fucking know how good it's gonna be. Nobody was asking for a fucking iPhone either until, you know, Steve Jobs showed people how you couldn't do a good phone. And for us, it makes so much sense. There's nothing, you know, extra. Yeah, there is something extra added to it, of course. But you're not slapping anything in there that doesn't belong, in a way. We already have all the choirs all the time in our music, so we are just reinforcing one already very important part of Sabaton and making it even bigger. So that is going to be a lot of fun for those shows.
Yeah. And you may be going to film them. Maybe another DVD coming or Blu-ray. Or
hopefully
whatever.
Something going on. At least they are going to be at Wacken, and that will be streamed in some way or another.
Yeah, those are usually
for
many years.
So at least there will be a chance for those who are unfortunate enough not being able to catch one of those. It will be available to see at least.
Yeah.
Of course, we're gonna have to hang a few audio engineers along the way, because in these streams, sometimes
I know
they have no fucking clue what they're doing.
Audio is awful.
Yeah,
some of them.
The guys who did sometimes do that. They have no idea how the band is supposed to sound, so they just go. So maybe there will be something like that. Stream it, and then we will, since while we are still at Wacken, we will send the files to Jonas, and then we'll change the audio. You know, at least to the proper mix.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Okay.
So we don't have this retarded engineer.
It sounds a bit thin. I've listened to that. Okay, so the 20th anniversary of Sabaton. And a lot of times, when you're 20 years into the band, you start thinking about, okay, when I'm going to put out a solo album or do another project. So, have you ever thought about, you know, putting out a great Joakim Brodén solo record or a band? Never.
No, Sabaton has been so integrated in a way with what I do. I mean, there are things I'd like to do that might not fit Sabaton, but it's nothing I'm going to focus on. I've written one song here and one song there, so maybe one day, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not a focus at all, you know. I love doing this, and I mean, it's like I am not by no means the only songwriter, but I've been part of like every Sabaton song I've been part of writing, and a great deal, I think, over half of them on my own. So
it's like your own thing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was never intended that way, and I'm not saying it's at all like that. But for example, some people don't like to write music a lot, and it makes at least a lot more sense. For example, Tommy released his Majestica stuff now. And that is of a different kind of music, and he's been part of. He was writing one song for this album, and he hasn't been part of the band for such a long time. But I mean, when we started out, I was the only one who was a songwriter and was interested in writing songs. So the first, up until Carolus Rex, I was the only songwriter. So, and Sabaton then became the music that I loved. You know, it wasn't like there was 20 other people fighting about
what to do and what song is going on.
I mean, obviously, the rest of the band, it was never, you know, dictatorship, but it was more like either they can, of course, have opinions on what they would play. I mean, I never wrote single guitar solos or drum fills and stuff like that, but it was never. There were a few songs where some of the guys said, no, we don't want to do this one. That was fine. I'd like to write something else that they're happy with. Absolutely. But I think Oscar back in the day wrote one song. And he showed us. It was awesome because it was so cool. And it was guitar riffing all the time going on. I was like, wow, that's cool and complex. And then we asked him, okay, cool, so what do the other instruments do, and what are the vocal melodies? I got no idea. They're like, okay, so you basically written a 5-minute long guitar thing. Yeah. Okay, get back to us when you figure that part out, you know.
Yeah. Okay, we're about done. Any last greetings for the readers of Metalliluola and Finnish fans?
Well,
and the crew.
Thank you for the good times, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to be here.
Yeah. Looking forward to the new album. Yeah.